Here's a question where you are asked to find the vertex, axis of symmetry, and all of that other stuff. So they give it to you in a form that's not a real nice form because of this fraction. And the fraction will cause us a little bit of grief. Now I'm going to show you two ways of doing this one. The first way is the completing the square method, and the second method will be the formula way. But let me show you the completing the square first. So to complete the square in the end, what I want to have is something out front here, and then x plus or minus something squared, and then plus or minus something else. And the plus, it'll be a positive or negative, not both. Okay, so that's where I'm headed. So right now this half, because this is just x by itself, this thing here is bothering me, the half. And so what I can do is I can factor that out. So if I factor that out, then I take each of the terms and I divide them by a half. So I'm going to write this. It'll look awkward, but I'm going to write it anyway. So I'm taking x squared over 2, and I'm dividing that by a half. Okay, I'm taking the 6x and dividing that by a half. And I'm leaving the 16 out of the game. So the 16 is there. So I don't take the half, I don't factor the half out of the 16. Now, just over here on the side, I'm going to show you what happens with that x squared over 2 divided by a half. So instead of writing this divide line, I just wrote divide. We know that if you divide a fraction, you multiply and you invert this one. And so the 2's cancel. So what happens then at the start, I'm just left with an x squared. With the 6, I'll have 6, and I have to divide that by a half, which is the same thing as 6 times 2 over 1. So that'll be 12. So I have 12x there. Okay, plus 16. So all I did was factor a half out of there. You could have divided things by 0.5 or on your calculator, and it'll still come to the same thing. Now I have to complete the square. So I take this term, so I take the 12, and I divide it by 2, and then whatever I get from there, I square that. So 12 divided 2 is 6, 6 squared, 36. So I have a half, and then x squared plus 12x, and then I have to go plus 36 to make that perfect square. Okay, and then outside here I have a plus 16. Now adding that 36, I can't just add the 36. And maybe, let me write this in just a slightly different way, because we usually just throw it outside. I usually just throw it outside immediately. But you have to compensate for that adding 36. So what you can do is you can subtract 36. Adding 36 minus 36 is 0, so I'm not changing anything. But that's going to help me complete the square. Outside I have plus 16. Okay, so now what I want is I want to get this minus 36 outside of the bracket. To get it outside of the bracket, I have to multiply it by whatever's out front there. So, on my next step, I'll have 1 half, and then here I'll have x squared plus 12x plus 36. Outside I have a plus 16, and then I have to go a half times the minus 36. So half times minus 36 is minus 18. And I think that's what you were looking at there. Let me erase this and continue. I thought I had enough room, but I don't. Okay, so now I've got a half, and then this factored is x plus 6 squared, and 16 minus 8 is a negative 2. So now I have it written in the proper format. So my vertex will be a negative 6 and a negative 2. Axis of symmetry is x is equal to negative 6. Since this is positive outside, it means the graph is like this. So there will be a minimum value of y is equal to negative 2. And maybe the minimum value they express as a point. So I might have to go minus 6 minus 2, or just say it's minus 2, whatever they're asking. Okay, so that's one way that you can determine the axis of symmetry, vertex, and all the rest of that. Let me show you another way with the formula. I'll do it right over here. So the formula to find the x value of the vertex, you go minus b over 2a. And maybe they haven't shown that to you in the book yet, but I think maybe they have. Anyway, so it's minus b over 2 times a. So b, in this case, is a positive 6. And a is 1/2. That's the thing in front of the x squared. So a is 1/2. So that's negative 6 over 2 times 1/2 is just 1. So the x-coordinate of the vertex is minus 6. Notice we got the same thing. To get the y value of the vertex, then what you do is you figure out the value of the function when you put in a minus 6. So I'm going right back to here, and I'm putting in negative 6 squared over 2 plus 6 times negative 6 plus 16. So negative 6 squared is 36 divided by 2. That'd be a positive 18. 6 times minus 6 is a minus 36 plus 16. And I think if you add all that together, it gives you negative 2, which is what they have there as well. Okay, so I hopefully that helps you on that question.